So my name is Anna Appenzeller. I'm a realtor. I live in Arboles, Colorado. So some of the information that I have given is based on fact from my research with my sister, Diana Janowski, and also from stories my elderly neighbors, who are no longer with us, would tell me. Also, some are from my clients whose parents homesteaded the area. My great-grandparents homesteaded down at the Quality Waters, just below the dam, still part of the Navajo Lake project. They did that between 1900 and 1904. They made application for a homestead of 160 acres at that time, and they lived down there for quite a long time. They had an orchard and big gardens and stuff. They didn't stay there long, though, because in a tragic accident, my great-grandfather was murdered after leaving a dance from Rosa. They would go up along the San Juan River to Rosa and Arboles to either visit family or friends. But at this time, they went to a dance, and a gentleman there was being overly friendly with my great-grandmother, and my great-grandfather and this gentleman went and fought outside. Anyway, a couple of days later, he goes down to my great-grandfather's homestead at the Quality Waters and apologizes, but brings out a bottle of whiskey and poisons my great-grandfather. He has time then to go home and tell his wife exactly who did it and how it happened. Anyway, so a few years after his death, my great-grandmother sells the property or loses the property. Not quite sure how that happened, but so they relocated up to the Arboles, Allison area. So the court in Aztec found him guilty and gave him 99 years prison. But after 11 years, the governor of Albuquerque, or of New Mexico, pardoned him because he said there was alcohol involved. So as a realtor, I have sold a lot of different properties of people that were relocated out of Rosa and Arboles. They had beautiful irrigated land down by the river, and once they started the dam project, they had to move. A lot of them moved their homes. Some of them moved like old buildings. I know of one gentleman who moved the schoolhouse or portions of the schoolhouse and made it his home. I also know that the old train depot station was then made into a home, and it was also relocated. So the town of Arboles was along the Piedra River and down at the bottom. So some of those older buildings were moved up to higher ground. I know from talking to several of these neighbors and clients that they were unhappy about the relocation because they had this beautiful grassland. They were moved up into the hills. Some of them were paid for their land or given money for their land, but they felt that it wasn't quite what they should have received. Anyway, so yeah, so like the Catholic Church, parts of it were moved. A lot of, like I said, other homes were moved up into higher grounds. The cemeteries, according to documents that I've seen, there were 4 cemeteries that were moved. I know definitely Rosa had 2, and Arboles had 1. I'm not sure about where the other one was moved, but all of these were moved up to higher ground. From the documents I have, there was a proposal in 1904 to construct a dam, and they were starting to look for where they should do this along the San Juan River. In 1930, an actual proposal was made to start construction on the Navajo Dam, but because they didn't have the correct signatures or the fees, it wasn't constructed. The dam was actually started in 1958, and I think it was started filling in 1960, and in 1962 there was a dedication made for the dam itself. I think they thought it was pretty much full at that time. So from talking to some of my neighbors, older neighbors that are no longer here, the construction of the dam started in 1958, but it was lowered down in New Mexico. So the people along Arboles, Rosa were given X amount of time to relocate as the dam was filling, and I think that started in like 1960. So just looking back at my paperwork, and most of the names are Hispanic. Mostly Hispanic people lived in Arboles and Rosa. There were a few other people, non-Hispanics, that owned stores, like Walker's store, which happens to still be in Arboles, just relocated up off the highway. But most of the inhabitants were Hispanic that lived there and were relocated. So I think the majority of the people lived in the area. I know a lot of them moved to like Ignacio, but mostly if they own land, they were given new land, so they stayed in the area. So looking out over the lake right now, it's a beautiful recreational site for us, much needed. I understand that the water is owned by the Native Americans, mostly for the Nappy project, but living on this side of the dam, we get to use it for recreation.